And on this rainy day, I get on this bike and I go down the street, make my first left, go this was a little bit of a longer road, go around the curve, get all the way to the next street. And as I'm getting ready to turn right onto that street, there's a car coming and it's kind of driving like, it looks like more in the middle of the road. So I'm like, okay, well I need to stop and wait for them to turn, then I'll go. And I go to stop and my brakes don't work. The bike just does, the brakes on the bike do not work.
Oh.
Did it actually speed up on you?
No, it didn't speed up. It well, maybe, you know, for the sake of the story and whatever animation may come of this one day. Yes, it sped up.
Yeah, that's the stuff. It was down a really steep hill.
It was a flat road. If anything, I was going uphill. But yeah, the bike sped up instead. Someone had changed out the wiring.
His description of the neighborhood, just a lot of downhills everywhere you go.
Everything's a hill. It's all uphill.
I walked to school and it was downhill both ways. Super easy.
You go, no, it's opposite. You go to my friend's house, it's uphill. You go back, it's uphill.
I just stood on my scooter and it just took me there. I didn't do anything.
I turned around. There was another hill.
You kids have it so hard. What? Sorry.
All right. So this car's coming and I can't stop and they don't realize that. So they get to the stop sign. They kind of blow through it a little bit and they just turn. So now I'm either going to ride my bike into their car or I have to turn at full speed. I try that. Full speed, I turn my wheel a lot sharper than I probably should. And on a bike, it's not a very good idea to turn your wheel very sharply whenever you're going full speed. Because what happens is all of a sudden your momentum is hitting the front wheel is just facing the wrong way. And the bike doesn't keep going and sliding on that wheel. The back wheel then lifts up and throws you off the front of the bike. I didn't have a helmet. I didn't have any kind of pads on. I was wearing a t-shirt and some shorts, and I very much regretted that because what happened was I got launched off the bike. It felt like I was in the air for a while. I mean, it was probably all really fast, but in that moment, it felt like I was in the air for a while, looking down at the pavement, trying to look up and see the car, panicking, putting my arms out, trying to stop myself. And I didn't succeed at any of those things because what hit first was my head, my face rather, and my left shoulder hit the pavement and then just bounced and skidded. The car didn't stop. They didn't even see if I was all right. They just kept going. They were like, oh, that guy's dead. We're out. We didn't do it. And I'm halfway between my grandparents' house and my friend's house. And I get up off the pavement because at first I don't feel anything, right? There's like that moment of shock where like you don't feel pain or anything. You're just like, oh my God, I'm alive. And I go to look at my bike and the seat has broken off of it for whatever happened to the bike after I got launched off. The seat is broken off.
Did you clench so hard you took it with you?
I guess. It was wedged still between my cheeks. I couldn't find it. It was just launched into my butthole.
Is that why you had to get that surgery later in life?
I always wondered what a seedectomy was.
Yeah, 3 tailbone surgeries and a seedectomy following that accident.
Wow.
I went to pull out my cell phone, but this was before we had cell phones, so that thought never even crossed my mind. No walkie-talkie, no nothing. I'm just in between the two houses on a rainy day, probably about half a mile from either house, maybe a little bit less than that, but pretty close to half a mile or so.
Okay, 5-minute walk.
Yeah, well, I was a little bit beat up, and I thought I lost my left eye.
Oh, geez.
In that moment, I was bleeding so much from my left eyebrow that my eye, I could only see like red and like whatever haziness. And it didn't cross my mind that that was seeing something. I thought that I'd lost my left eye. And I looked down and from what I could see out of my right eye on my left shoulder, my shirt had ripped open on my left shoulder. And I also had, I believe, some bone exposed on my left shoulder from where it scraped against the pavement so furiously because that's what hit the hardest and I dragged on the ground on. And the rest of me, my chest scraped. I'm bloody and torn up everywhere. And I look at the bike, no seat, and I know that I've got to either walk or ride somewhere because there's just nowhere, there's no help. I'm not gonna go knock on a stranger's door because that's just not something you do, apparently, even whenever you're dying.
You probably could have done that.
Yeah, you could have done that.
I probably could have, but that thought didn't cross my mind. I think I was around 12 years old. At this time.
I don't know why, but my brain was like, you said it already, around halfway. Come on.
No, 12, I was about 12 years old. So the decision I made was I'm going to get on my bike. I don't know if my friend's home, but I know my grandparents are home, so I'm going to just ride back. So I get on the bike, holding the seat in one hand, standing because I can't sit, and I pedal back to the house, bleeding profusely in tons of pain, thinking I've lost an eye. My left arm is numb, and I get back to the house, and I'm just, all I can think about is my eye. And I get back to the house, and my grandma's like, oh, is that you? And I don't answer. I just walk in, go up the stairs. They lived like a tri-level, so I went up like the stairs to the bathroom, and I turned on the light and looked in the mirror, and I just started crying. And my grandma came up, and she's like, oh my God, what happened?